Oh, by the way, most people don't realize the scale of video games. Hogwarts Legacy just grossed $850 million in its first 2 weeks, biggest launch ever for Warner Bros. Games. By comparison, Warner Bros.' biggest movie ever, the last Harry Potter movie, brought in $295 million in its first 2 weeks. Not a perfect comparison. Box office numbers are domestic. Can't find day-by-day numbers for worldwide gross, but it makes the point. Hogwarts Legacy numbers would also be much higher if it were available on PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, which is not. Games like Hogwarts Legacy also often have higher ARPU. They cost more than a movie ticket and a less broad reach. Legacy sold 12 million units, whereas probably 50 million plus people saw Deathly Hallows in the theater. One reason gaming is so big is because of the depth of monetization. This is why I mean, I'm not going to like run on the I told you so train any longer, because now conservatives are going to fucking weaponize this and be like, nice boycott, you fucking losers. You know what I mean? The most transphobic freaks on the fucking planet. The most transphobic freaks on the fucking planet are probably just like literally losing their shit. There's also the whole like, trans bullies narrative that, permeated through the interwebs for that entire time, even though it was just, again, a bunch of people fucking losing their shit from a place of, a place of not having anything. And, I guess a misguided belief in decentralized boycotts being a good thing overall. It's not. I hope that this will be a valuable look. I hope that this will be a valuable lesson. Okay, and I don't mean that like in a patronizing like, oh, fucking trans people like learn this lesson. Like I seriously am asking allies, okay, allies, and people that are leftist and progressive, okay. I mean, it won't. It most likely won't because, let's be real. Fucking, it's probably, no one ever learns anything. But it would be nice if we did. It would be very, very nice if we did learn it, okay? You just pick your battles and also understand that, like, there are some forces that are impossible to combat, especially when you're talking about, it was never about impacting sales, it was about showing solidarity. Okay. It doesn't matter. It's the tiny ask that makes it so that it's impossible to show solidarity in that regard. Slime's take was pretty good on Hogwarts. I read it. I think it was decent. But it's cold news by this point, but the Hogwarts game shit had to be unbelievably the lamest hill to die on for every single person who streamed it. An infinite library of games or nothing, just chatting exists out there to stream, or just the same ones you always do, but either one wanted to make an epic statement by standing tall against woke culture and being extremely baited by playing a game about Harry Potter, or two, you wanted to get a week-long bump in viewership, meaningless in the long run, while batting your eyelashes, holding a big lollipop saying, I'm just trying to play a video game. Disgusting, number-chasing, brain rot shit. I feel like if all you have to do to make a group that the government wants dead feel a little bit better about existing is not to play a video game conceived by someone who doesn't consider them human, it's the easiest shit in the world, and you can't even do that. Disgusting. So it's not a bad take. I understand where it's coming from. My criticisms of this never revolved around this element of it. My criticisms of it are this kind of demand is going to be an impossible ask, especially considering that it's nothing. Like it's a literal nothing demand. Making a larger demand in this regard, especially a centralized one, especially one that has like a clear-cut goal or an agenda, and not just do you like me as a trans person, streamers, it would have been better overall. This is all off of seeing that VTuber clip on LSF talking about streaming the game again, like she was giving the fucking speech from Independence Day and hundreds of people saying, yes, you go, you are God's bravest warrior. I agree with this element of it, especially. It's so fucking annoying. That part is like also annoying. Like I said, I had the smoke for every single person that was like involved in this process, from people fucking losing their minds saying if you play Hogwarts, you're like transphobic or whatever, which is not the case. I don't believe that. And I will never believe that, all the way to people being like, I'm the bravest person on the planet for playing Hogwarts Legacy. That's right. Muting this or also be fighting zombies all day. Final thought is that most population humans just want to play video games and watch Netflix and aren't terminally online. I'm speaking specifically from the perspective of streamers. I also think trans people put up with enough. I agree. But knowing what I know about the space, knowing what I know about what was going to happen, I knew for a motherfucking fact that this was never going to be a real thing. It was only going to lead to the outcomes that it led to. Anyway. So yeah. Never really considered it, but it does seem kind of valid to say just don't stream it and play offline. No, it doesn't. It's not. It's not a valid request. I don't think it's a valid request. It never was going to be a valid request because you cannot tie the content to anything but like what people see as a popular IP that reminds them of their childhood, that like desperation for nostalgia and that feeling of like childhood innocence coming back to them is infinitely more powerful, especially when you're talking about consumer activism as decentralized boycott movements. Okay? It's just not a thing that was ever going to be successful, which is precisely why I wanted to get ahead of it. Say what you wanted to happen with your chest, bud. I have time and time again. What I wanted to happen was for everyone to get together collectively in unison and say, the person who created this IP, J.K. Rowling, is a major transphobic person. The multiple people that have made careers off of this franchise have also disavowed this person. There are trans people that worked on the making of this video game, and ultimately this video game itself, one, it's PR, it's bullshit, but like even features a trans character and is developed by a group of individuals who are also trans themselves. What we will do instead is raise money in the process of playing this game for trans charities, which would have redirected the conversation away from negative press associated with trans bullies, which was completely fucking over the top, overblown. And I say this as someone who was on the receiving end of trans bullying, right? Like, fucking who cares? Okay? And I knew this would inevitably happen, which is why I said we should do this instead. And everyone fucking yelled at me, and, there we go. That's what we did. Meanwhile, trans people are being legislated away, regardless of whether we have this conversation endlessly over and over again. You must have hated the BLM protest since it didn't accomplish anything. Stop trying to literally equate all this shit. You are hyper online. You will never be able to understand political movements, what successful strategies look like, if you just refuse to listen to the words that are coming out of my mouth and just make assertions inside of your own brain and turn around and think you're owning me in the marketplace of ideas by comparing it to the Black Lives Matter protests, which also were fucking literally fraught and, yes, didn't amount to anything as a consequence of our systems being fucking morally bankrupt. Okay? But if you compare people burning down a fucking police precinct in the immediate aftermath of police directly murdering someone to demanding that your favorite fucking Twitch streamer doesn't play the baby game that is like 17 steps removed from transphobia in and of itself, you are a complete psychopathic freak who has no notion or no understanding of anything on the planet. The Black Lives Matter protests were a reaction to existing police brutality by directly striking at the core of the problem, saying that police are violent and we are revolting, okay? Asking people not to play baby game Hogwarts Legacy is an insane comparison, and you completely misunderstand everything about protest. Everything. If you make that comparison, you should be ashamed, okay? Yeah, going out of the actual shooting, getting shot at by cops with like less lethal bullets in the process of demanding police reform is not the same thing as saying don't play this video game. You just literally looked at something and then equated it to something that's entirely different. You could have made a better argument by saying, oh yeah, tell that to the Montgomery bus boycott, which again, literally was still targeting. It would have been a bad example, but at least a closer example to the Black Lives Matter protest, because it was at least boycott, right? It was a boycott movement, except it was a centralized boycott movement with a clear, tangible goal that directly targeted the main fucking purveyors of that racial inequality. Okay? How is this so difficult to parse through? Anyway. Zero guide? No, I'm done. I'm done with chatters. I'm done with chatters making bad arguments. I've decided I'm going to steel man right-wing arguments and then talk about them instead. I've decided that is a more productive thing to do, because none of you motherfuckers can actually come up with a good argument. You can't even do that. You don't even give me the decency. Did we ban all the fucking right-wingers in here that, like, every dumb fuck in here can't even fucking make a decent counterpoint here? Jesus Christ. All the ones that come in here now that try to undermine what I'm saying literally just go, dude, give me one example. The fuck? Anyway. Have you considered that all things are equal, though? Yes. At least, like, the entirety of, like, last week and weeks prior to that, people were just, like, trying to be like, what about BDS? Okay? And I would tell them, like, BDS in and of itself is not just about boycotting, but also demanding divestments, and also with a tangible, clear-cut goal and agenda, placing sanctions on the apartheid state of Israel. As long as the apartheid continues, the boycott movement and the pressure continues. Okay? It is completely removed from the fucking J.K. Rowling conversation, because, like, the goal is not to just simply demand or ask for solidarity within BDS. It's not about, like, oh, can we get some solidarity, please? Okay? It's literally the difference between, like, someone coming up to you and being like, did you know that, like, horrible workplace conditions are you know, causing you, you know, are the reason is how you get fucking Coca-Cola, versus the Kellogg's workers working in facilities actually fucking protesting and then asking people not to cross the picket line. That's the difference. If there's no picket line, if there's no organizing, if there's no tangible fucking goal, then you're just a fucking annoying person making demands that you yourself would never actually follow through on any other facet of your consumption, because every single corporation is led by monstrous, billionaire, pedophilic vampires. Okay? And you are not out here fucking demanding in a similar capacity to stop people from consuming other shit, okay? You're just posting. You're crying into a fucking empty vat. And I get where that's coming from, because you feel helpless. And you feel like there are 300 plus different pieces of trans legislation that's passed in the United States of America through state legislatures that, you know, go... that rank from trans people cannot be out in public, all the way to fucking, you know, doctors need to be arrested if they give you HRT. Okay? I get it. It's shit is fucked up. You know? If you support BDS, then why did you advertise a restaurant owned by Israelis who stole Palestinian food to profit off of it? I don't know if you know this, but it was delicious. And also, I don't know what the fucking personal politics of the two people that own the restaurant are, but that's a wild, again, that does not, BDS does not mean literally fucking, I also have an Israeli co-host on a podcast, dumbass. Like, what's you immediately just went like, oh, well, you know, these are Israeli people that own the fucking restaurant, so, like, you must be violating BDS. Yeah.